Evidence of giants in ancient Africa. Genesis 6:4. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bore sons to them, the same became mighty men who were of old, men of renown. Meroe was an ancient city on the east bank of the Nile, about 5 miles northeast of the Kabushia station near Shendi, Sudan, approximately 180 miles northeast of Khartoum. Meroe came into the picture and to the knowledge of Europeans in 1821 by the French mineralogist Frédéric Cailliot, 1787-1869. Numerous enigmatic and mysterious objects were discovered, which included the reliefs and paintings on the walls of the sepulchral chambers. One such mysterious find was a painting that depicts a giant of enormous proportions carrying 2 elephants. The features of the painted giant are not Nubian, but it has Caucasian features and his hair is light in color. Egypt also had pictures of kings and queens that appeared to be giants in comparison to surrounding people, but scholars had always presumed that differences in size were used to indicate differences in importance, power, or status. That's why the pharaohs and the kings are shown significantly larger than those around them. The stratified sizes of god and human, king and subject, tomb owner and servant, parent and child, or husband and wife are usually symbolic of relative status and power within Egyptian compositions. This is particularly clear in scenes recorded on temple walls and in other settings which show the Egyptian king at a much larger scale than his enemies, heightening the hierarchical effect of the representation by emphasizing the helplessness of the enemy and the king's superhuman stature. However, this explanation does not explain a man carrying 2 adult elephants with tusks over his shoulder. The man in this picture from ancient Meroe is obviously an actual giant. Meroe was the capital of the Kingdom of Kush for several centuries from around 590 BC until its collapse in the 4th century AD. In the 5th century BC, Greek historian Herodotus described it as a great city, said to be the mother city of the Ethiopians. Meroe was the base of a flourishing kingdom whose wealth was centered around a strong iron industry as well as international trade as far away as India and China. Did the great wealth flowing through ancient Meroe allow the kingdom to import or attract a giant from another part of the world? Other pictures of giant people carrying leopards that appear about the size of a house cat in comparison may also lend credibility to the belief that there were actual giants living in the ancient kingdom of Kush. There were 3 cemetery areas at Meroe in northern Sudan. These are divided into south, north, and west, and contain over 300 pyramid structures. The pyramids at Meroe range from the 8th century BC to the 4th century AD. Many of these structures were damaged in 1834 by an Italian treasure hunter who was searching for gold. Around 1700 BC, the Kingdom of Kush was the strongest state in the Nile Valley. A conflict between Egypt and Kush followed, culminating in the conquest of Kush by Thutmose Mem 1504 to 1492 BC. Another mural shows 2 very large men leading around a giraffe on a leash. In the Bible, the father of Nimrod was Cush, who later lent his name to the region of Africa south of Egypt, in the present area of Sudan. Genesis 10:8, and Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be powerful in the earth. Genesis 10:9, he was a powerful hunter before the Lord. Therefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the powerful hunter before the Lord. Genesis 10:10, and the beginning of his kingdom was Babel and Erech and Akkad and Calneh in the land of Shinar. Nimrod is also believed to be another name for the ancient king Gilgamesh. The name of one of the giants mentioned in the Dead Sea Scrolls Book of Giants is Gilgamesh, the Babylonian hero and subject of a great epic written in the 3rd millennium BC. Nimrod was a great-grandson of Noah, and wife, Semiramis, was also known as Ishtar and Isis. Nimrod was also known in Egypt as Osiris and was the founder of the first world empire at Babel, later known as Babylon. From ancient sources such as the Epic of Gilgamesh and records unearthed by archaeologists from long-ruined Mesopotamian and Egyptian cities, we may be able to reconstruct subsequent events. It stands to reason that before the invention of guns and cannons, a giant would appear to be superhuman in comparison to most ordinary people. Therefore, ancient people passed down legends of the demigods, people who were part human and part god. In texts attributed to the archaic Greek poets, Homer and Hesiod both describe dead heroes as hamithioi, or half-gods. In later antiquity, the Roman writer Marcianus Capella proposed a hierarchy of gods as follows. First, the gods proper, or major gods. These parallel the fallen angels mentioned in the Book of Enoch and the Book of Jubilees. Second, the genii, or daemonies. These would be the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim, or the dead offspring of the fallen angels. The Nephilim are direct offspring of fallen angels and human women and were primarily noteworthy because of their great size and their great wickedness. Third, the demigods or Simones who dwell in the upper atmosphere. These are the disembodied spirits of the Eliud, also transliterated Eljo, which are the antediluvian children of the Nephilim and are considered a part angel hybrid race of their own. Like the Nephilim, the Eliud are exceptional in both ability and wickedness. Fourth, the manes and ghosts of heroes who dwell in the lower atmosphere. No doubt they are the spirits of creatures who were even further genetically removed from the original half-breed Nephilim. Fifth, the earth-dwelling gods like fauns and satyrs. These were actual living, breathing, flesh and blood descendants of the original fallen angels. This is what the Book of Jubilees has to say about the Nephilim and their descendants prior to the flood. Jubilees 7:21. For owing to these three things came the flood upon the earth, namely, owing to the fornication wherein the watchers against the law of their ordinances went a-whoring after the daughters of men, and took themselves wives of all which they chose, and they made the beginning of uncleanness. Jubilees 7:22. And they begat sons the Naphidim, and they were all unlike, and they devoured one another. And the giant slew the Naphil, and the Naphil slew the Eljo, and the Eljo mankind, and one man another. Jubilees 7:23. And everyone sold himself to work iniquity and to shed much blood, and the earth was filled with iniquity. Jubilees 7:24. And after this they sinned against the beast and birds, and all that moves and walks on the earth, and much blood was shed on the earth. And every imagination and desire of men imagined vanity and evil continually. Jubilees 7:25. And the Lord destroyed everything from off the face of the earth, because of the wickedness of their deeds, and because of the blood which they had shed in the midst of the earth he destroyed everything. I suspect that there are descendants of the fallen angels living on the earth who are still active in world affairs behind the scenes. These earth-dwelling gods may also be called shapeshifters, such as werewolves, mermen, vampires, ghouls, witches, sorcerers, skinwalkers, etc. These people are usually described in legend as individuals who can shapeshift, especially in modern film, either purposely or after being placed under a curse or affliction. I know that all this seems hard to believe, mainly because we are taught from a very early age to not believe in the paranormal or the supernatural. However, once we begin to study the Bible and other ancient books with an open mind, it is a lot easier to put all the puzzle pieces of proper reality together. Once you realize there are sinister spiritual forces still active in the world today, then most of what appears completely senseless, like secret occult organizations, the global military-industrial complex, human trafficking, child sacrifice, abortion on demand, slavery, totalitarian governments, big pharma, the worldwide network of media misinformation and propaganda, and finally the soul-sucking encroachment of big tech on our lives, then all the evil in the world begins to make a whole lot more sense. My brother told me that the subject matter of my videos appears to be getting darker, and I told him my videos will probably be getting even darker in the future because our world is getting darker. On the other hand, I am a believer in Jesus Christ, and I do believe he is coming back in the near future. Remember, the devil is pulling out all the stops because he knows that his time is short and it is always darkest before the dawn. Isaiah 61, Arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. Isaiah 62, "For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the peoples. But the Lord shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee." If you find these videos educational, please like and subscribe. Have a great week. Thanks.